Dear brothers and sisters, it's wonderful to have an opportunity to gather together with all of you who are in many, many different parts of the world. As we go through life, we find many activities happen to each and every one of us. And sometimes when it looks like a difficult activities happened, we find that it is the difficulty that brings us closer. We've had a global pandemic for the last year, and what that has made us realize is that we're all connected. If something happens in one part of the world, it affects everyone else in the world. And today, we find that people all around the globe are dealing with the same situation. And so as we look at life, generally, we feel that we are different than others. We look at the outer part of our lives. We live in different countries, we are followers of different faiths, our cultures are different, the festivals that we celebrate are different, the way we dress is different, the languages that we speak is different. And so we all think like we are different than others. But what is very interesting is that we're all connected. And it's the silken bonds of love that connect us. And that love that connects us is God's love. It's a part of God which resides in each and every one of us. If our attention is only focused on the outside, which it generally is, then our focus is on the differences. But if we go beyond those differences, if we dig deep into who we are, if we don't live our lives on the periphery, but we get to the depth of our existence, then we realize that we are one and the same. The Genome Project, which concluded a few years ago, let us know that more than 99% of us are the same. Our genes are the same. It's only less than 1% which is different. And we just focus on the less than 1% which is different. Saints and mystics over the years have been telling us that there's one great family of God which inhabits all of creation. That we're all connected, whether we're human beings or animals or bird or fish. That we're all members of the great family of the Creator. But unfortunately, even though we hear these words, they are not sinking into us. Because we hear them, we read them, but we don't ponder on them, we don't focus on them, we don't put them into our lives. Saints and mystics have come into this world and they've always exhorted us to know the truth, to know the reality of our existence, to know that we are all children of the one Creator. And when we read their teachings, when we try to understand what the great saints and mystics wanted us to understand, then we realize that at the depth of each one of their teachings is the recognition of love. Love between us and the Creator, love between us and God. And those who experience love are the ones who find God. And this is talked about in many, many of the scriptures of the world. That to know God, we need to love God. To be with God, we need to love God. To experience God, we need to love God. And in the human being, God is experienced through the true primal manifestations of God, that being the divine light and the divine sound of God. So the ratings of the saints are full of journey of our spirit, of our soul. At our core is divine love. And as our soul rises above physical body consciousness, and as it starts to travel into the inner regions, as it traverses the inner regions, regions full of light, regions full of love, regions which are much more conscious than this physical region of ours, then the revelation of who we are, the revelation of the Creator, and the revelation of our relationship with the Creator are all unbounded. We start to experience them. And as we have an experience of the divine, then what this life is all about starts to get clearer to us. You know, in this world, we use languages to be able to understand the phenomena in the physical world. Let's say there's a mango. You try to explain a mango to someone else, that it's delicious, it's sweet. Because those are the words that we have. In some other language it might be meetha, which is sweet. It could be other words for sweetness, or delicious, or very tasty. But unless you eat the mango, you really don't know what the mango tastes like, or how is that sweetness different than, let's say, the sweetness of an apple, or the sweetness of chocolate, or the sweetness of a rasgulla. You need to be able to eat the mango, to experience the mango. And the same thing with the Creator and the creation. We can read about the creation, we can read about the Creator, we can read about the relationships between the creation and the Creator. But unless we experience the Creator by ourselves, unless we experience what it is to be with the Creator, we are never going to realize the true extent of the Creator and the Creator's creation. Saints and mystics over the years have not only explained what the relationship is, but have also given us ways and means by which we can experience for ourselves the relationship between ourselves and God. A few saints were such whose teachings we find in the form of poetry. Many saints left their teachings in prose. But what is very interesting is that those saints who left their teachings in a poetic form could impact a tremendous amount of wisdom in a few lines, in a few words. Because the beauty of poetry is that in a verse you can impact tremendous amount of knowledge, and in the case of the saints, wisdom. Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, who talked about the human existence, who talked about our relationship with the Creator, had written much about ourselves and God. He tells us that we are a part of God, we are a part of the Creator. He tells us that this life has been given to us to know God. He tells us that to know God, we need to love God. And I like to take one of his verses in which Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj says, खुदा के इश्क से मिलता है जिंदगी को सरूर, खुदा के इश्क से मिलता है जिंदगी को सरूर, मिला ये नूर तो समझो कि दिल हुआ मामूर, मिला ये नूर तो समझो कि दिल हुआ मामूर. So when this is translated into English, it is as follows. With God's love, life is filled with intoxication. On receiving this light, experience that the heart is full of love. So Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is telling us that with God's love, life is filled with intoxication. How do most of us think our life is going on? Many of us feel that there are difficulties after difficulties after difficulties coming in our life. Especially this last year has been very, very difficult for most people. Many have lost their jobs. Many have not had a chance to meet their loved ones. Many are confined to their homes so they can't move out. Many are having difficulty putting food on the table. And so when difficulties come in our life, then we feel as if life is never going to get better. Most of us are trying to make our life better by focusing on the world outside. So what is Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj telling us through this verse? He's saying with God's love, life is filled with intoxication. What is a life which is worth living? A life in which we are intoxicated, in which we are happy, in which we are joyous. Think of the moments when you are with the one that you love as a child. When the child is in the arms of the mother or the father, the child is very, very happy. When a grandparent picks up a grandchild or plays with them, they're very, very happy. Most people, when they are with their spouses, are very, very happy. When we are with our friends, we are very, very happy. And so, when we are with someone that we love, then we are happy, we are joyful, we are in a state in which we find ourselves to be in bliss. Now, what is Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj proposing to us? He wants us to be intoxicated. Not by the liquor of the world, but with the love of God. Because when one is intoxicated, then life is beautiful. Everything is looking beautiful when you are intoxicated. And so what is Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj saying? He's saying, with God's love, life is filled with intoxication. Like for us to be intoxicated, for us to be joyous, for us to be happy, for us to be blissful, we need to experience God's love. Now, how do we experience God's love? Where is God? God is not sitting in the sky. God is within each and every one of us. And so to experience God, we need to invert. We need to take our attention away from the world outside and focus it within ourselves. And as we focus our attention within ourselves, then we would be experiencing the two primal manifestations of God, that being the divine light and the divine sound of God. And as we connect with this creative power which is within each and every one of us, then we are uplifted from a world of pain, from a world of sorrow, from a world of problems, from a world of difficulty, to a world of bliss and joy and intoxication. Because within us is God. Within us is the Creator. And when we are with the Creator, there's nothing that can go wrong. Everything with God is joyous, everything with God is happy, everything with God is peaceful. Everything with God is in harmony with the divine. And that is the state of being in bliss, of being intoxicated. And so Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is telling us that with God's love, life is filled with intoxication. And then in the next line, he says, on receiving this light, the light and sound of God, the two primal manifestations, he's saying, on receiving this light, on receiving this creative power, experience that the heart is full of love. It is when we experience the creative power within ourselves, the divine light and sound within ourselves, then we realize that we are full of love. Not only our heart is full of love, but our soul is full of love. Because we realize the closeness of God, we realize the presence of God, we realize the oneness of God. And as we realize the oneness with God, and as the unfolding of our soul happens when we go on the spiritual journey, it's a journey of love, it's a journey of light. So Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is telling us that on receiving this light, now we can experience this as a flashes of light, circles of light, lights of various colors. We can experience it as a sky full of stars, a moon, a sun, or many, many other vistas within. It's the experience of those lights that we've never seen in this world outside. It brings so much joy to us. You know, in the world outside, you see sunrises and you see sunsets. It's like, wow, it's so beautiful. But what we experience within is like thousands of times much more beautiful than anything else in the world outside. So Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is telling us that once we receive that light, when we experience the light, when we go within and we connect with this divine power within ourselves, then we realize that our heart, that the core of our being, that our soul is full of love. Because we realize that our soul is a part of God. We realize that we are a drop of the ocean of all consciousness, which is God. That we are conscious beings. We are full of the love and light of God. And as we experience the love within ourselves, it expands. Love is something, the more we experience it, the more we expand. And so love not only stays between us and the Creator, it starts to ooze out to everyone else that we meet. Whether they be members of a family, whether they be our friends, whether they people who live in a neighborhood or people that we work with. And so Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj here is telling us that as we go on this journey within ourselves, as we find ourselves to be experiencing God love, as we get intoxicated, then we are experiencing ourselves as we truly are. You know, when we experience God's love, it fills our being. And as the love of God starts to go to others, we find that not only our life in our own home gets better, but the love that we experience ourselves as it touches the life of others in the family also brings in a transformation in their lives. And as it brings a transformation in their lives, then we find that whosoever they meet, their lives also get affected. And so slowly, 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 the circle of love expands. Saints and mystics have always wanted us to have heaven here on earth. We can all work towards that state. A state of joy, a state of happiness, a state where there's no difficulties, a state where there are no problems, is a state that we all can reach. What we have to do is to find the intoxication within ourselves. So Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj, when he's saying, with God's love, life is filled with intoxication, he's exhorting us to experience God's love. He wants us to be in that state where, as we experience God's love, we will find that life is blissful and life is joyous. Because he's saying that on receiving this light, experience that the heart is full of love. And that experience of being with God's love, that experience of being in a state where we realize that our heart and our soul are full of love, is an experience that we have when we go within. Whether you call it meditation, whether you call it sitting in silence, whether you call it inversion, these are different names on techniques which make us experience God's love. So let us meditate for a few minutes. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeball should be straight. Focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. The repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. I pray to God Almighty and to the three great masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and the gracious Master Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light in its effulgence. So we'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time, and my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off. Chhod dijiye ji. I just pray to God that each and every one of us can experience God's love and that our life be full of the love of the Creator.